I mean, there's not much to say, but here are my views in a nutshell. First of all, governance is not something that is a short term process, and 4 years is not a long time. So I think that it's a useless exercise to present a 60-page manifesto of ideas. To me, it's giving student council government. So what I would prefer is if each ministry had one headline project that they were going to sort of focus on for the next 4 years, because you can't even finish med school in 4 years. Like that's just to show you like what 4 years can do in terms of progress. So that's first of all. I wish that the manifestos were shorter and more direct, punchy things. Two, I know that a lot of people are saying that they want the JLP to do a manifesto, but I think that having been in government for like 9 years, what would be useful, and they've already done this, is to do an achievement document, which they've done. And then to me, what would be useful now is to do a performance improvement plan, sort of like a PIP, like you would do if you work somewhere. And like a progress report on certain things, and like just to show, just to answer certain questions, like why we're still not a republic, or why we still don't have a fixed election date, things that were promised that have not been done. And yeah, let's start there. But I have so many issues with even the manifesto that the PMP offered, not because they're not good ideas, but because I'm like, seems like just not doable, and things that require a lot of logistics and thought and layers to them, not just ideas. For example, you said that you're going to give the first in a family to go to university, a full scholarship, but what does a family constitute? Jamaican society does not have like nuclear families. So like I'm the first in my family to go to school for my mother's side of the family, but what about my father's side of the family? What is my family? How do we prove that? Like little things like that. Discrepancies or inconsistencies with the messaging. The manifesto says one love, the messaging says time come, the cap say integrity, all of those things. And then the JLP kind of just being like, okay, we call the election, but we're taking our time with the manifesto. I don't know. So those are my thoughts in a nutshell, but yeah.
I have a serious question. Who really in power of Jamaica? Like, who is the Prime Minister of Jamaica? Because I'm watching the debate and Andrew Holness is playing the game of blame. When you hear that something did not work out, or he did not go along with a promise that he made before, he blames it and says it's the PNP that thwarts the plan. So, who really empower me want to know, because if the PNP is in the opposition and them barely have seat, mind you, remember so the last election PNP get wiped out, them barely have any seat, So who really in power then? Because if them get wiped out, barely have any seat, but yet still them thwart all of your plans, them, all of the bad decisions, all of the bad things that happened, it is their fault. So who really in a power? And are you in a power? You see, accountability are going to be the data summary.
The minimum wage, we don't want to be placed in their group of being uncertain. In terms of the minimum wage, we don't want to be placed in their group of being uncertain, because on page 94 of the manifesto, the main manifesto, of course, we have the 100 highlights. I think that's on page 40. It is 74. So on page 90 of the main manifesto, and I'll read: we will build on our record of a minimum wage increases by continuing to review cost of living, inflation, as well as our economic and employment conditions, ensuring that work lifts people out of poverty and delivers a decent standard of living for every Jamaican worker. It is in the manifesto. Now, we can argue over the specifics of it. Manifestos are not intended to give specifics. That comes after the fact with a discussion. So we're not like them, and we don't want to be considered or placed in that category. Now, the Prime Minister in his wisdom and his responsibility to the people of Jamaica, sought to give some greater specifics last evening. And that's quite in order. And in that respect, he indicated his intentions as the leader under the next administration to double the minimum wage over a 5-year period. I want to say a few things quickly on that. Firstly, 9 years since we took office, when we took office, minimum wage was 6,000. Today, it is 16,000. That's a 156%, 58% increase. So we have a legacy of demonstrating that we can improve the economics in keeping with our desire to address living standards among the population and those who need it most in this instance. Secondly, it's important to note, and this is a response to what the PNP is claiming, because we are not like them, that this is a phased approach over 5 years. Prime Minister said that it's not an afterthought, that we will begin at 18,500 in the next budget, which is very doable. And perhaps most importantly, on the issue of whether or not it will impact unemployment, it is important to note that this government has never advanced one policy position in isolation of the overall macroeconomic and microeconomic management of the economy. The fact that it is being phased should also be taken into consideration with the fact that we are doing several other things that are going to impact productivity on one hand, which is essential to offering more. The renegotiation of the JPS license, energy cost is a big factor. The training and expansion of training on the heart to prepare our labor force to be more productive. The digitization of government to make things easier so that decisions can be taken quicker, because transaction time and transaction cost are important to productivity improvements. The expansion of our logistics network as a country to make movement of people, early arrival at work, etc., is critical. The development of other economic activities which have already started, whether it is the special free zones, special economic zones at Caymanas, or the port facilities where our logistics hub is being built out. And I could go on if time would allow. The point that is important to be made is that we have not advanced a proposal for doubling the minimum wage in isolation of the overarching government policy to advance variables towards improving productivity. And the fact that it is being phased is also, or should also be, comfort to those who may have some concerns about cost and whether it would impact their cost of operation, or indeed if it would impact employment levels. We believe it is doable, and we are resting our case on the fact that we have done it in the past. The Prime Minister was clear to say that the country is moving now in a direction where it can, in fact, take off on a much steeper trajectory towards growth, because we have paid down the debt, we have stabilized the economy, the macroeconomics, we have addressed crime, or certainly are addressing it. And by the way, crime and security is a big cost of production, where people need multiple security guards and so on. Those things cost money. So all of those things, we believe, will augur well. And ultimately, at the end of the day, he was clear to say, offering more to those who need it most is an overarching policy of the government to address those that are most economically vulnerable in our society. This is not an offer to those who already have. And yes, they may want more, and with justification. This is an offer for a 500,000-600,000 population that are at a stage of their economic development or evolution where they need a livable wage. And our government has always said, while employment is high, there are those in the population that we need to lift up further to get better employment and better returns on their labor, even while we help them to improve the productivity of their labor. So we believe that the PNP's argument is a non-argument, and we dismiss it. We believe that the other persons in the population, like small business operators, employers, is an argument that we are prepared to provide further particulars on, an explanation, because we feel we have an obligation to further explain, and I'm making that explanation as an important addition.
$6,500. That's what minimum wage was in 2016 when this administration just came into government. Today, it is $16,000, and unemployment is the lowest it has ever been in Jamaica's history. Sound fiscal policies that do not wreck the budget but take every Jamaican from every walk of life into consideration. That's what good government and good governance is about. That's why this administration is proposing to increase minimum wage to $18,500 in the next year, and then slowly transform it to a livable wage over the next 5 years, all while reducing income tax to 15% and increasing the income tax threshold to $2 million. So no Jamaican is left behind. So every Jamaican has more money in their pocket. If this isn't something to look forward to, I don't know what is.
Warren loves the people. Warren, I hear somebody say it in the crowd, respect the people. Warren has all the attributes of an excellent representative. He will be a good advocate on your behalf. And so I ask you to give your support to Warren Newby to be your next.
They must think a joke this year. Why you think me love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now. We got style. Massive who no follow me now. We a go vote bro God every time you know. Yeah. Why you think me love the party, yeah? Put the X beside the belly now. We got style.
At this point, me just feel like say nothing man do can please someone. The man double on the minimum wage. On the PNP over your course. Now PNP, if it was on a favorite, we say him a come do it if him win. Yeah man, know that run with it down. But just show bro God man. To this day, me not hear what Mark go do if him win. I know Jamaica go turn blood clot 80 if Mark win. Yeah man, no matter what bro God don't want to overlook it. Tell you no PNP they have knowledge, cause Mark not live a blood clot Jamaica. Mark no pay tax like you know. Mark no have him assets in a Jamaica. So if you no want to continue to be blind and dumb, you no do it, but just choose Jamaica.
Until unless me say them can't hold you. Then at the top you won't win it. Feel back stronger. Yeah, we da bring it JLP straight to the top. None of limit. We run the country every day and not for a minute. You want who that does and we a go flop. Them a mimic. Anything we say we a go do. Then we did it. To the country we all we da give it. Better leader by far. When they sing it, I'ma say Andrew Holness and win it. Andrew Holness and win it. Andrew Holness and win it. JLP and to the top and on the limit. Mama said the most honorable Holness and win it. The youth them future look bright, don't dim it. Serious party in charge, no gimmick. Now put the X by the bells to the green. Andrew Holness and win it. Andrew Holness and win it. The most honorable.
are building for you and your community. This election day, vote Jamaica Labour.
I don't care what nobody wants to say, but you see Kerentia Morrison, I love her. I don't know where she come from. It's like, I don't know where she come from, I don't know where she's MP for. But I think, say, one time, she had it mostly councillor, she did a little bit slim. Just remember one girl being a councillor, a little bit slim, and they do the debate. And then she turned MP. But I don't know if I Kerentia. But I tell her say something about Kerentia, just pull me towards her. Vote for the Labour Party. Me and me charge. Jamaica Labour Party is doing good for you. And she said, good night, Sicky. Right now, I said, Jano, I don't know something about her. Something about her. Me alone, I just love her. Yeah. She have a buzz. She buzzy bad.
I am my MP, you know. Give me a PMP, give me a Labour right, you're my MP. You are my MP. I love you, baby. Good man. Yeah.
Andrew Wellness, they are the team well strong. JLP, me set the thing up. From road work to work. But now is some prosperity around. The whole place turn up. Andrew in our place, stocks cut with your support. Everything good, yeah, the money just afloat. Get on look, hurry up, missing nice scope. Believe not yourself, faithful and love hope.
On Monday, the PNP called a press conference seemingly to counter the JLP's plans and put other matters to rest.
This is late in the day, clutching at the straw to try and salvage a dying campaign. The people of Jamaica are wiser than that.
In providing context, PNP campaign spokesman Raymond Price drove home his arguments by pointing to the recent debates where he said there was no mention of increasing the minimum wage to $32,000 weekly, or a clear indication in the JLP's manifesto, although this section spoke to its adjustment.
But more importantly, Andrew Holness was also at that debate and mentioned nothing about any changes to the minimum wage. As a matter of fact, he was complaining throughout the debate and very unassertive and very ambiguous on any issue of policy he tried to cover.
And so, what are the PNP's plans for minimum wage earners? In pointing to their manifesto,
we will establish a livable wage commission that will facilitate the process of consultation and consensus building to arrive at a livable wage for Jamaicans. We will not do it in a way that circumvents, that avoids consultation, because we are acutely aware of the implications on both sides of the coin.
But with the JLP being more direct and providing people with the exact figures, what assurance can the PNP give to those category of people who would greatly benefit from the doubling of the minimum wage?
Well, we are of the view that an increase in the minimum wage must be consistent with the movement of inflation, because inflation erodes the purchasing power. So as inflation moves throughout the economy over time, we think that it necessitates an adjustment in minimum wage. So we will be guided by data, we'll be guided by the inflation outlook, we will be guided by consensus among stakeholders. We'll not be guided by an attempt to win an election because of political desperation.
Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
And you send Furcado to Timed Up.
Put respect on it now. Put respect on Andrew now. Andrew, Marky G. And he say, Andrew, I like you third time, so you better believe it. Labor right in no labor. And he say, September 3rd, the bell will strong. Jamaica, me tell you, put your X beside the bell. Forward we are going and loop and go ahead. Andrew, me love all the third term alone. The politics and the wrong marking. Where the man where you go to the promising thing. support, bring water to them. Tell them I no call me name. Hey boy, why you take politics thing for game?